Good evening. I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Show City Council to order. By roll call, see that we have all council members present with the exception of Council Member Rennie Crittenden and Council Member Brent Hatch. I'd like to acknowledge Brent Hatch had an open heart surgery this past week, and we wish him well. He's down in the valley recovering, and he's in the Honor Health hospital down there. So we wish he and Sharon all the best. Would like to begin this night by invocation. I've asked Council Member Gene Kelly if he'd lead us in an opening prayer, and followed by that we'll have the national anthem by Showbiz. So those who'd like to join us in prayer, please stand.
Father in heaven, dear Lord, I do thank you for the very privilege of being part of this city council. The fact that we can do our local business in this regard throughout this country by a few members of the community elected by the community to represent them. I ask that you give us special wisdom as we do our job representing people of this community. I ask that you'd be with our armed forces, those home and abroad, guide and direct, bless as only you can. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Thank you. That was wonderful. We appreciate the youth here tonight from Showbiz. I'd like to welcome those other guests that may be with us tonight, as well as anyone who may be watching at home tonight on City 56. Okay, our next item we have is a call to the public. Any citizen desiring to speak on a matter that's not on the schedule may do so at this time. Know that you need to leave your comments to 3 minutes. See nobody's moved or asked to speak to call to the public. I'll close that and come back to special events. First thing tonight we have is a presentation of the Show Low High School Biz Choir. Cynthia Whipple. Yeah, should have just stayed tight, right?
That's all right. Keeps them moving, keeps them on their toes. All right, so Mayor Seymour and City Council, thank you so much for letting us be here tonight. It is truly an honor to be the teacher of these amazing students. And tonight we would like to invite the community and all of you to come and join us in the celebration of Ye Olde Madrigal Feast, Feast of Carols. This is our 35th anniversary celebration. This show began in 1983 by Scott Gentry, just as a simple potluck, and it has now grown into a huge Renaissance show. So if you've never been, those of you in the community or those of you here this evening, we hope that you will come and join us. It is a spectacular show, and it's not Christmas without this show. So the dates are December 5th, 6th, and 7th. On December 5th, we have our dessert night, and those tickets are $9. And on Friday and Saturday, the 6th and 7th, we have our dinner shows. Those tickets are $22. And then the Saturday matinee show is at noon. And the tickets for that show are $18. And we still have lots of seats available for all the shows. Saturday's filling up pretty quickly, but the rest of the shows still have lots of tickets available. So we hope that everyone will come and join us. You can purchase the tickets at Loft Green Photography here in Show Low, Monday through Friday from 2 to 5 p.m. Or you can contact Nikki Hall at 928-242-7742 for ticket reservations. So we just hope everybody will come and enjoy. It's truly a magical show, and it's wonderful. And these kids are all the leads. The kings and queens are behind me, as well as the jesters and the entire royal court. So before we leave this evening, we would like to sing for you Angels We Have Heard on High, and we hope to see you all at Feast of Carols.
Thank you. And Cynthia, thank you for what you do with these youth. And
Thank
you
you.
guys, thank you for what you're going to put on. Appreciate it.
Angels we have heard on high, sweetly singing o'er the plains. Birds on mountains in reply, echo back their joyous strains. Sing Gloria, sing Gloria, sing Gloria, sing Gloria, in excelsis Deo. Sing Gloria, sing Gloria, sing Gloria, in excelsis Deo. Shepherds, why this shepherds, why your joyous strains prolong? Say what may the tidings by your heavenly song. Sing Gloria, sing Gloria, sing Gloria, in excelsis Deo. Sing Gloria, sing Gloria, sing Gloria, in excelsis Deo. Come to Bethlehem and see, in whose birth the angels sing. Come adore on bended knee, Christ the Lord, the newborn King. Sing Gloria, sing Gloria, in excelsis Deo. Sing Gloria,
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you,
Cynthia. And the next item we have this evening is a presentation by Nexus Coalition for Drug Prevention. Vicki Solomon.
Thank you guys very, very much for having me here today. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Vicki Solomon, and I was born and raised in the Heber Overgard area. And since we didn't have a high school at that time, I was bused into Snowflake for 4 years. And I calculated the mileage, and it was about 50,000 miles in the 4 years that I did high school, because we had to go to dances and all the fun stuff. I was able to join Nexus Coalition about 4 years ago. I worked with Navajo County Public Health for 6 years previous before that. And I just thought I'd give a quick little overview and let you know what we're doing in the community. So it's three of us, myself, Vicki Solomon, Deborah Robertson, and Brenda Willis that helped me do this throughout the community. Do I get to flip my own, or you're flipping for me? There it goes. So what we do is we collaborate with the 12 different sectors within the community, and we try to partner with them not only to relay resources that each individual group does, but to see if there's a need that we can help with drug prevention. The two main goals that we have as an organization is to, number one, reduce substance abuse among youth, and then number two is establish and strengthen collaboration among community members. And that's the part that I do, that I love. And Brenda is focused on reducing the substance use among youth. Some programs that we have is, one of them is Junior Leadership Academy. And we hold this in the month of June. It goes for about 2 weeks. During that time period, this last June, we provided 440 meals and 240 snacks for these youth. Some of them are at-risk youth. And some of the feedback that we get from the youth are extremely positive, and they always want to come back. So it's a great program. Another one that we participate in is called the Safety Town. The Safety Town, we were able to educate 180 adults and 505 students throughout the community. And this is a little shot of what the Safety Town looks like. And there's Brenda doing her little safety message with the youth. A concern that we have, and this kind of ties into the vaping epidemic that we'll talk a little bit about too in a minute, but we've got about one every 15 seconds a phone call to poison control. And the current numbers that they had was back in 2017. So I bet once they update the numbers and get it to 2018, 2019, those numbers are probably going to be even higher because of our vaping epidemic that we have. Over-the-counter safety medicine. Right now, the drug initiation age for Navajo County youth is 12 years old. And so true prevention, if we get into the schools when they're about in 5th grade, around 10 years old, that's our goal. And right now we have a program, it's called OTC Safety. And we pull in the high schoolers. We work through Students Against Destructive Decisions, student councils, any youth group in high school, and we train them on different presentations. And then we take them into the 5th graders, and it's a peer-to-peer education. So this is a great program to watch. And here's a little photo of the youth participating in that. I see the presenters, the high schoolers, enjoy it just as much as the 5th graders. And then we have a drug diversion program that we offer to all the different high schools and junior high schools, in addition to teen court, because with drug diversion, the youth that have challenges that get assigned to come to us, it could be 1 hour, and it could be, we had one gentleman that we got to visit with for 16 different hours. But principals can refer them to us instead of just sending them straight home if they've done tobacco or alcohol or vaping on campus. Rather than just sending them home without education, we encourage them to send them to us first. Right now is that 78% increase in our vaping. My concern right now is that the youth know what vaping pods look like. but the parents don't. And so I'm trying to arrange in the communities where I can get to the parents and educate them so that they can be aware of what vaping is and what to look for, and maybe what they can do to learn how to talk to their youth about drugs and alcohol. Right now, the youngest kiddo, it was 16 years old, and we just had one in the valley. Recently, it was a girl that had some or lung problems due to her vaping, and she said she'd only vaped for about a year. So it's very concerning. Then we have a program, it's called Empowered and to be Empowered. And these programs go over just life-changing things. We've got stress that everybody has to deal with. Unfortunately, we can't take stress away, because I don't know about you, but I still have stress in my life. And I imagine I probably will have for the rest of my life. So if we can go to the youth and educate them on how to handle the stress in a positive manner, then that's kind of our goal here. And then we do hand out free naloxone. And what I want to touch base on this is before I got educated on naloxone, I wasn't quite sure how I felt about that. But once I received the education and understood what it was for, an example, Ronnie and I, my husband and I both had knee surgeries, and we have pain pills in our home. If we didn't have them tucked away nice and neatly like they should be locked up, I have a 7-year-old granddaughter that could get into those pain pills and have an overdose. And we live in Taylor, which is about 30 minutes from the hospital. If I have naloxone in my emergency kit and she overdoses, I can get her with that naloxone, and it will give me the time to get to the hospital and she's alive and she's not dead. And so I think it's very important. And what I'm trying to educate the community on is I think every household needs to have at least 2 naloxone kits in their emergency kit. Over 80% of overdoses happen in the home. And then we offer free drug testing kits to the high schools and also to the parents. We don't want to threaten kids with this, but we want to use it as another excuse that the kids get to say no to drugs and alcohol if they know their mom's going to test them. We also participate twice a year in April and October with the Drug Take Back Days. And we partner with the local police department. They're fantastic. Sholo always has somebody go to Summit, and there's an officer there that's picking up unused and expired medicines. We do have drop boxes in our local police stations. That's available 24/7, 365. And that's just a quick little overview of what we do. And is there any questions?
Tell me on the naloxone,
Yes.
how would a person acquire that?
It is free. They just need to contact me. There's a couple of different ways. My phone number, 928-243-2014, or our website is www.ncdprocks.
Okay. Appreciate that.
You bet.
Any other questions, comments? Appreciate what you do. It sounds like with our youth and prevention and education. So
Bet.
thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Next item we have is a presentation by Representative Orlando Teller. Back to that.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. My name is Orlando Teller, and I am your state representative for LD7. I am originally from Chinle, which is Canyon de Chelly area, and been elected in November 2018. And I sit on the Transportation Committee, Land and Agriculture Committee. I'm part of the Aviation Aerospace Caucus, the Indigenous Peoples Caucus, and my wheelhouse is in transportation. As a former deputy director for Navajo DOT, working fully in the transportation industry since 1996, I have probably the deepest transportation experience of the legislators. And so they call upon me to discuss issues that relate to infrastructure and transportation. And I do support and advise on the need for transportation in rural Arizona. The HERF funding is one of those conversations that I really support, that we do not sweep, as the legislators in previous sessions have been sweeping the HERF fund, and that has been detrimental to the routes and the roads here in rural Arizona. I communicate on issues regarding agriculture and land. And for the next session, which starts in January 2013, I do have a listing of bills that that not only are transportation related, infrastructure related, but that are definitely addressing rural and tribal Arizona, appropriations to Vernon Fire District, as well as small community beautification, farmers market initiatives, as well as the appropriation towards retaining and recruiting teachers of color. And as the gentle lady mentioned, I'm sincerely concerned about the vaping issue here in rural Arizona. So I'm going to be researching, actually I'm researching right now with advisors on how we can attack the vaping, not the pods, the machinery, so that we tax that. So it would be really hard for children or those to try to procure the vaping machinery. The other health concern that I have is the opioid crisis here in rural Arizona. So on December 9th, I have a stakeholder meeting with Big Pharma on the opioid crisis. And my strategy for this conversation is to hear from rural Arizona. Sure, I can hear from Metro Phoenix, Tucson, and Flagstaff, but I'd like to hear from the effects of the opioid crisis here in rural Arizona. And so we have a stakeholder meeting, again, December 9th, where we all come together and talk about how this opioid situation has affected rural Arizona. And from that conversation, I will add to the Attorney General and see if we are going to be one of those states that go after the pharmaceuticals as a lawsuit. So that is a really important conversation that I think rural Arizona needs to be part of and needs to be the force behind this conversation. The other legislation that I'm drafting is a Violence Against Women Act. The federal Violence Against Women Act is stuck on finite details. What I'm sharing with my advisors and my communities is that we need to work on how to address have the state of Arizona have their own Violence Against Women Act, and not just focus on the gun-related issue, but focus on the total issues. What happens to the women and the children afterwards? What kind of services are they given? The provisions that are provided, and so there's so much part of that bill that it's over 20 pages. That's going to lose a lot of folks. So we're going back to the table, and we're going to try to make it just as simple as possible. But there's so many issues when it comes to that discussion. I'm also talking about interstate student exchange, certificate in education convenience. What I'm finding out is parents are driving their child to one school district and enrolling them in the neighboring school district. And that's fine. That's convenient for the family. That's convenient for the parents. So after 100 days, the school districts count that child, and that's how the funding is calculated. So what What I am supporting is local control so that the school districts communicate, the superintendents communicate with the neighboring superintendents. The last thing I want to do is get, Phoenix involved in this. So what I'm saying with this bill is be local control, and all it is putting the parental employment as part of the criteria for this certificate of education convenience. So you still can take your child where it's convenient for you to work and so forth. We're finding this concept to be considered workable with other states. Duncan and Lordsburg, those children go back and forth. Colorado City, those children go back and forth. Mesquite, those children go back and forth. On the Navajo Nation and Windrock and Gallup, they go back and forth. So the conversation has already been established. And so I'm going to just continue supporting local control on that. There is conversation on transportation. In fact, I work really well with my Republican colleagues. As a freshman last session, I was the very successful freshman. Out of the 11 bills, I had 5 go through the chamber. Transportation, aviation, education bills, as well as a broadband bill for small communities, and $10 million through the aviation fund. We have an airport here. I completely support airport improvement programs. So any way that you can to improve your airport, I would love to see that. Those airports are critical to small communities, particularly when you fly them out.
Bring us money and we can improve it.
Yes, yes. So I'm going to reintroduce that $10 million appropriation for aviation fund this year. I have a lot of traction with my colleagues again. They are certainly excited to continue this conversation on infrastructure. You bring in the infrastructure, you improve the infrastructure. The contractors come into your town, they stay at the hotels, they eat out of your restaurants. So it becomes an economic boost for that short time period. As far as roadway, I did talk with my Republican colleagues last week, and they're like, "Hey, Teller, so what do you think about $100 million for transportation?" I'm like, "Why not 200 million?" 200 million is a long-term intermediate Band-Aid. We need a full comprehensive capital improvement plan for the state of Arizona. But 200 million I can live with, because 200 million will fix the road between Sanders and Witchwell to the border. Also the roads here in this area. That's what that can do. The striping, the mowing. Have you noticed the bushes along the road? That's a Schedule F. The closer to the ground, the more it costs for ADOT. So Schedule B and C is what I would find more appropriate for rural Arizona. But that costs money. So if we have that ability to pay for those maintenance, then that we won't have to drive, especially me in a small car. You don't see above some of that bushes.
Got about 2 minutes.
Okay, so I invite you, all of you, down to your house. That is your house. I welcome you anytime during session, and I am open for questions.
Orlando, I'm going to just ask you, we go down there as the Mayor and Council's Association for Navajo and Apache County, okay, once a year. We show up there in January, we'll be there.
Okay.
We want you to be there, because that's where you have an opportunity to talk to the mayors and different council people and hear input, give us the input that goes broader here for rural Arizona. And we take the effort to drive down there, and we want our representatives to take the effort to walk across the street and meet with us. Fair enough?
Yes,
Okay, and we'll let you know when that date is.
please. Do you mind if I approach and give my business cards out? Okay. Any other questions?
Any other questions? Thank you for what you do. Appreciate it.
That was my knees. That's it.
sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Beardsley, I'm sorry I put D in front of C, so at this time, our next item is item C, presentation regarding the Shiloh Senior Center and Meals on Wheels. Mr. Steve Beardsley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. May I distribute some?
Sure.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Oh. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity of speaking with you this evening. I'm going to be hopefully short enough and sweet enough. Golly, all of a sudden we find ourselves in the fourth quarter of the year. How are we doing, you might ask? My answer is very well. By the end of December, we will have delivered 11,000 meals to our senior community. We have also supplied our clients with pet food, holiday gifts, smiles, and caring. We've held 3 craft fairs, attended health expos, participated in Sholo Days, the 4th of July parade, and numerous fundraising events across the mountain. Surprised the town with a very large banner across the Deuce clubs, which perhaps some of you may have noticed. All of this was in an effort to reach the deepest part of the community. So everyone obviously is aware of Meals on Wheels and the senior center and the services available to our senior community. And as our large banner said, we want to stop hunger across the mountain, but obviously specifically in our local community. We have 2 upcoming events to provide to the city, one being our annual Thanksgiving no-cost lunch, which will be November 23rd. And we have a breakfast with Santa Claus, pancake breakfast, on December 23rd for kids of all ages, kids, grandparents, whoever would like to come and enjoy a little Christmas cheer. We accomplish these things with the devotion of our volunteers, which is the backbone of everything we do. Without the volunteers, we wouldn't be able to accomplish anything. We are greatly indebted to the seniors, the volunteers who offer their time and their hearts, because they not only deliver food, they deliver society connection to people who become isolated, unfortunately, as they advance in years or circumstances unfortunately come up. We have conducted a very aggressive outreach into the community by advertising in radio, TV, newspaper, word of mouth, any way we can to let the community know that we're here, we're ready to serve, and we care about them. We've had a very active year at the senior center itself. As you're no doubt aware, we conduct seminars, we have exercise classes, we have facilities available for community groups, and the building is in use not only during the day, but also in the evening. We have the Arizona Rangers meet there. We have other civic groups. It's even used for memorial services occasionally. So we try to keep it busy and in use constantly. Our thanks goes out to the council for our support, obviously, and also for your support of the upcoming expansion of our kitchen, which will greatly
help us in being more efficient in the preparation of the meals and also help in our finances, allowing us to buy properly and most effectively. So great thanks to all of that. And we look forward to see construction starting hopefully very soon. And lastly, I'd like to remind everyone of the Arizona State tax credit that the state offers to citizens. They can take advantage of that because Meals on Wheels is an approved charity and allows the taxpayer to directly deduct against their tax liability. So that period is open. We believe it's the same amount as last year, which is $400 an individual and $800 a couple. So that's a nice chunk to reduce off of your taxes. And again, we thank you and happy Thanksgiving. And if you have questions, I'll try to answer.
Thank you so much. Council Vice Mayor.
Steve, I think you might have said on the 23rd for the Thanksgiving dinner, but it's the 26th. Am I correct?
6, excuse me.
All right.
Oh, by the way, one last word, if I may. We've developed relationships within the community from one end to the other, not only to ask for support, but financially, but referrals, and again, to get the word out. And if you would like to see a list of a small portion of our supporters, I'd be happy to read the list, but I thought that might be a little time consuming.
Just leave it with the clerk and we'll get a copy of it, okay?
Okay.
Council members, appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate what you do. Any question here? Councilmember Kelly.
Well, more of a comment on your
We needed him 10
tax
years ago.
credit.
We needed him
Don't-
10 years ago.
Anyone be confused with a tax deduction. That is a tax credit. Am I right?
Correct.
Big difference
Big difference.
between just getting a deduction and getting a direct credit, dollar for dollar against your tax.
You know, one other thing too, Steve didn't mention, but we opened up Facebook. We have a senior center and Meals on Wheels on Facebook, and also on the Meals on Wheels program here, we also have where you can go into our regular homepage and look at that. And we're also doubled up with the Sholo web pages too. So there's a lot of places you can find us at. So just keep on looking, you'll be able to find us.
You bet.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
you.
your report. Next item we have is the consent calendar. Any items that need to be pulled or reviewed individually? Okay, the items we have is consideration of resolution number R2019-30, authorizing an intergovernmental agreement with the town of Pinetop Lakeside for information systems employees, and then also consideration of the minutes of the Shoalo City Council on November 5th, 2019. Need a motion?
I'll move.
Motion by Councilmember Leach, seconded by Vice Mayor. Any other discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? See that passed 5-0. Next item is new business. First item we have is consideration of appointment of an associate city magistrate. Turn the time over to Judge Shirley Patterson.
Good evening, everybody,
Evening.
Mayor and Council. I'm here tonight to ask you to consider appointing Raylin Atencio as Associate Magistrate for the Shoalo City Court. Raylin has been employed with the Shoalo Justice Court since December of 2014. Prior to that, she was a judicial assistant in Apache County. And she was also a field trainer, and she worked with them for 10 years. The purpose of asking you to appoint her would be so that if I'm out, or if I'm sick, or if I have any sort of conflict case, that she would be able to cover for me. I'd like to know if you could consider up the appointment beginning January 1st of 2020, and I believe that they run for 2 years, the normal length of time that they run for.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Look for a motion. Councilmember Leach.
I move to appoint Ray Lynn, not even gonna go there on that last name, as Associate Magistrate effective date January 1st, 2020 to a 2-year term ending December 31st, 2021.
Thank you. We have a motion. Is there a second? Second by Councilwoman Kakavas. Any other discussion? Call for the motion. All those in favor? Any opposed? See that pass 5-0. Thank you.
How do you say the last name now?
Atencio,
Who?
Atencio.
What I was gonna say.
Thank you.
Next item is item 8B, consideration of an animal shelter service agreement with Pet Allies. Chief Shelley.
Mayor and City Council.
Evening.
Show Low Animal Control has worked closely with Pet Allies to shelter, adopt, and rescue animals coming into the animal control shelter. In 2018, these efforts resulted in 1,131 dogs and cats being rescued, adopted, or returned to their owners. Pet Allies also provided services such as selling dog licenses, low-cost vet care, vaccinations, and low-cost rabies clinics for Show Low's animal control program. Pet Allies will take dogs dropped off by Show Low residents at both the Show Low Shelter and the Humane Society. For those animals dropped off at the Humane Society by Show Low residents only, Pet Allies will pick them up and bring them back to the shelter if the Humane Society does not wish to keep the animal. The city's budgeted cost of running the shelter and taking this in-surrendered animals is $20,000. This amount includes all operations and utilities associated with the shelter. This amount has already been programmed into the 1920 budget. As part of the agreement, Pet Allies will keep the shelter open to the public at least 15 hours per week. All impound and boarding fees will be maintained at the rates previously set by the City Council. The contract also provides both parties the ability to cancel the contract should it not work for either party or for cause. And I'm available for questions.
Thank you. Are those hours just regular hours? I mean, 15 hours, but they're consistent?
That's the minimum is 15 hours, but they're upwards of almost 40 hours or more, according to RJ.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Kelly.
Motion in order.
Sure.
I would move to renew the agreement with Pet Allies to provide animal shelter services to the city of Show Low for an amount not to exceed $20,000 for the 2019-20 budget year.
You have a motion, second by Vice Mayor. Any other discussion? Call for the motion. All those in favor? See that pass 5-0. Thank you. Thank you, Pet Allies, for what you do in our community as well. Next item is item 8C, notice of intention, consideration of a notice of intention to increase water rights preservation fee. City Attorney and Justin Johnson, whichever one of you guys want to tackle this.
I'll start off, Mayor and Council, and then Justin can answer some questions if you have them. So recall, we talked about this at our retreat in October. And as part of the process for doing this water rights preservation fee, the Arizona Revised Statutes requires us to adopt a notice of intention, the council meeting, to increase the water fees. We then have to publish that notice in the newspaper and then hold a public hearing at the date and time specified prior to taking any action on a rate increase. So this notice only sets a public hearing. Does not obligate the city council to implement the proposed water fees. So adoption of these fees will require approval of a separate resolution following the public hearing on January 21st, 2020. So the proposed fee increase we discussed at the retreat is going from $1.50 per connection per month to $3 per connection per month for residential customers, with commercial customers paying anywhere from $3 to $15 per month based on their meter size. And staff will also be recommending as part of this fee increase that the upcoming CPI increase for water due to be effective in January 2020 be waived for this year. So below you'll see the timetable there. Tonight is on the agenda for the adoption of the notice of intention. Then on late December, we'll do the publication in the paper. Has to be at least 20 days before the hearing. Then the hearing will be held on January 21st, 2020. And then the effective date of that resolution will be 30 days after. So you'll see that that'll take effect in February of 2020 and will be reflected in the April 2020 customer bill for the month of March. I'm happy to answer any questions, and if you have any questions on the rates, Justin is also here.
Thank you. Hey, Councilmember Leach.
Just a quick comment. I know we talked about size for commercial. Was that all bundled into one, or how did we end up doing that?
Yes, we did
Because you just
take your
don't,
comments from the retreat, and so the top two tiers, I believe, have been bundled down into one, but Justin.
okay. I just want to make sure that was there.
Yes, the fourth rate level, we actually had 5 rate levels, and there were only 19 in the fifth level, so we combined them in with the fourth. And they were at 20, so the 19 that were at 20 per month moved to $15 per month with rate level 4.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other discussion? Questions? I'll look for a motion.
I have a question.
Okay, Vice Mayor, question?
It's hard to raise anything, just because people's finances and stuff like that. But I like the last comment, the last paragraph that the staff recommended that the upcoming CPI increase for water due to be effective in January 2020 be waived this year. Can you tell us what that amount might be?
Yes, so the typical CPI has been about 2.5%. The base rate for water is around $30, so it's about 75 cents. So half of that additional $1.50 will be the monthly amount. So it would save them about 75 cents.
So instead of $3, we were looking at maybe, or $1.50.
You'll still get the 3 for the preservation fee, but what you won't get is the 75 cents for the CPI. And that's about what they've been getting each year for the last several years.
But, and that makes it a little bit easier for, at least for me to swallow of raising it. At least I know that there is half of that's going to not take place. So, it'll save the customer some money on that.
I
That's
think also
correct.
it's important to note tonight that we aren't making a motion or a discussion about raising them. All we're doing is making a notice of intention to have a public hearing on January the 21st. At that time is when we would take any action on whether or not we would raise or increase or not have the CPI increase at that time.
And you're absolutely right. I just want to, that way people look at it, they might see a little bit of difference, say, okay, we understand where the council's coming from, so. And even though we don't have to vote.
And I think on that meeting, we'll have more presentations as exactly how it's going to break out and everything for the citizens too.
Thank you.
Any other, Councilmember Kelly?
I think my comment that I raised my hand for has just been covered, except I wanted to note, somebody along the way, I believe, mentioned an increase of $3. It is from, as I understand it, the intent is to go from, if the council does it, notice of intent is from $1.50 to $3, thereby being an increase of $1.50, half of which would be offset by the staff's recommendation, which, can I say I agree with that now? I'm going to. By not raising the CPI, which has been set to be done.
That's correct.
Fine.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other comments? Look for a motion. Vice Mayor?
I move to approve the notice of intent to increase the water rights preservation fee, providing for the public hearing at 7 p.m. on January 21st, 2020.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Leach. Any other discussion?
Well,
Councilmember Kelly?
Is it time to discuss what that purpose would be? Or is that
I think we'll do that at the meeting,
Later.
the public hearing.
later?
Mhm.
Okay, I want to have a discussion about that. Okay.
All those in favor? Any opposed? That passed 5-0. Thank you. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, City Attorney. Next item we have is summary of current events. Look to council members of any current events they have coming up. Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. I attended a couple of meetings. One was a Main Street meeting. The 9th Avenue and Dusa Club project, you guys seen the wall being built out there and things being changed. There's still some more changes coming, but we're going to leave it kind of secret until it is placed up there, and so you guys will see what it looks like. But it's going to really improve that corner a lot and make it really tie into the outside portions of the city. So look forward to having that completed. Also, Spooktacular was a great time out there, except for the wind was a little bad, and the guy that was out there trying to set up for a haunted house and everything else, kind of things got blown around a little bit, so he was kind of upset. But other than that, people had a lot of fun, and so they're looking at doing it again next year. Christmas tree lighting is going to be at the Shoalo Library December 7th, right after the Christmas light parade, which will be going downtown. Usually Main Street handles this Christmas tree lighting, but now it's Park and Recreation is going to be handling it, and it should be a really nice. At the end of the light parade, we'll have the Christmas tree lighting right here at the library. Farmers Market had a great year last year. They've already out of 100 spaces. They already have 57 already taken care of and money down on it. So that's going really great, and so we're looking for more for that. And so hopefully everybody enjoy themselves at the Christmas tree lighting and everything else. Also following that, I had a meeting with Meals on Wheels and Senior Center, and just to reaffirm, the Thanksgiving lunch is 11/26 at 11 o'clock and 12 o'clock. You need to make reservations at the city Senior Center. That number is 532-0656, and they're going to have all the stuff that you need, and the Shoalo High School FBLA kids are going to help serve that meal, so this should be a great time for that. Also, I want to congratulate Mayor Seymour for now. He is Supervisor Seymour and also doing Mayor Seymour work, so I want to congratulate you for your upcoming adventures and everything else. So, and I just to let everybody know that the county has got a really good guy from the mayor portion here of Shoalo. He steps up and fights for us back in DC locally, stands up for the stuff for the people's rights here in Shoalo. And just, we're going to have a good guy there doing the supervisors thing. So, and also good luck to Supervisor Williams, as now is going to be a judge down in Phoenix. So, and, so that leaves an opening up here. And so there's always some hassles or movements and stuff like that. So just want voting is going to be, or people can pull out their packets for mayor and councilman in January. And so just want to let anybody that's interested in doing that. And I want to weigh all my options out before I even start looking at something like that. But might even do that too. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilwoman Alves.
I just want to express appreciation, if I could talk, to everybody that participated in the Veterans Day celebrations, the VFW, our staff. I know Summit Healthcare, we served about 850 veterans and their family that day, and it was a really good time, and everybody really ate well and appreciated that free meal.
Thank you.
Thank you for all you do.
Any other council members? Just want to take it. It was a wonderful Veterans Day to give thanks to our veterans here. I think we had a pretty good turnout this year. It was nice, and the weather was great. I just want to attended a meeting with the MPC accreditation, where they had two people that was looking into making sure MPC was worthy of the accreditation that they had applied for. It was an interesting process where several different people, different superintendents, different people, Summit had representation there. It was interesting that 45 openings right now at Summit for a nurse, and MPC is creating 25 is the maximum right now that they can do in their program, and they're trying to double that up to 50. So our MPC does a lot for our communities, and it was brought out how important it was to have that in our community, and hopefully they'll receive the accreditation that they deserve. Just want to remind everybody of the Community Fast celebration will be this Sunday at 6 p.m. at the high school auditorium. invite council members to attend as well as citizens to come out and enjoy that evening of celebration. And just want to say happy Thanksgiving to staff and our citizens. We have so much to be thankful for in this country and in this community, and we just hope that you have a wonderful Thanksgiving this season. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Just one thing to add on Community Fest, all the banks in Sholo and City Hall still accepting donation for the Community Fest, if anybody wants to do that. Just a few things to report in recreation activities. The Muppet Christmas Carol movie will be shown at City Campus Gym this Friday, November 22nd for kids 12 and under. The cost is $3 per person. Registration's underway for the Christmas parade on Saturday, December 7th, which starts at 6 p.m. on Deuce Clubs. Youth basketball registration has begun for children in 1st through 6th grades. The cost for that is $35 per player. The Aquatic Center is holding a family swim night on Monday, November 25th from 6 to 8 p.m. That's a free family swim night. Children must be accompanied by an adult. The Aquatic Center will close for 2 weeks from Thursday, November 28th through Saturday, December 14th for annual maintenance, and it will reopen for business on Monday, December 16th. If you need more information on Aquatic Center, you can call 532-4130. Then finally, in Public Works projects, work's almost complete on the sidewalk on the west side of Central from McNeil to Owens. Work continues on the 24th Drive sewer main replacement, and the Sierra Vista subdivision roadway construction is complete. Pavement's being replaced where work was done on Fairway Park Phase 4 waterline project. And we just want to thank all the residents for their patience as we do these projects around town to make improvements. Thank you.
Any other comments from council? On the next item is scheduling the meetings. Anybody have any meetings scheduling coming up? Okay. At this time, we need to move into executive session where we'll discuss annual evaluation of the city magistrate, as well as a possible Timber Mesa Fire and Medical District intergovernmental agreement, and the executive session minutes of the November 5th meeting. Have a motion by Vice Mayor, second by Council Member Leach. All those in favor? Any opposed? That passes 5-0. Thank you and appreciate your attendance tonight. At this time, we'll move into executive session.
I don't know that.